Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. And in today's video, we are going to be doing a comic book review on Transformers Transport into Oblivion Volume 2. So if you guys have not had a chance to check out our Transformers Robots in Disguise Volume 1 review, that review is up on the channel right now, and I would highly recommend you guys go and check out that review first. That way, if you have basically been kind of, on the fence about basically buying this specific Transformers comic book series in the trade paperback format, then hopefully that review can convince you to obviously go and buy at least just the first volume for Transformers in the Image and Skybound series that they are currently doing right now. So for those of you guys who don't follow me on social media, which you should, link is in the description box below, shameless plug right there. Transformers Robots in Disguise Volume 1 was my favorite comic book series of 2024 as far as the trade paperback that covers the first 6 issues. That was, if not, one of the best comic books that I have ever read in my entire life. Shit was just so damn good. Daniel Warren Johnson is great. Just pretty much Daniel Warren Johnson supremacy, Daniel Warren Johnson masterclass. And the time that we did the review of Transformers Robots in Disguise Volume 1, we actually did it on July 5th, but you guys saw the VOD later on the comic book channel that you guys are seeing this video on, is because I was, getting all of my reviews in order to be released to you guys. And when we actually did that review, we were actually just waiting for this to come out, because this came out in November and the first volume actually came out in July. Now, the next volume is actually going to end up coming out later on this year in June, July, something like that. And Transformers Volume 3 is going to be covering issues 13 through 18. And this one, obviously right here, that we will be reviewing today, is covering issues 7 through 12. Okay, so is Transformers Transport into Oblivion Volume 2 just as good as Transformers Robots in Disguise Volume 1? They're literally about the same. The exact same, I would say. I love them both. After reading this, I will just say this right now. This Transformers series that Image and Skybound are doing with Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spencer is one of, if not the best comic book series on the market. And I will just make sure I emphasize this once again. Do yourself a favor. Go and buy Transformers Robots in Disguise Volume 1. And then go and buy this. You will not be disappointed. And these books are only retail for about, let's say, $16 if you buy them on like Amazon. You could literally even go into like some other like sellers online that have like the discounted books, probably even find it for even $10 at this point. But if you are a Transformers fan, you are literally eating so good right now. But before we get into talking about everything in here, what about you, man? I know you liked the first volume as well. Did you like this one?
Oh yeah, dude. That was easily the best thing I read all of last year. It was like that. I think like my top 3 things that I really got through in last year were going to be Transformers Volume 1. That was fantastic. That was good. The Duke trade was fucking. That was a fucking banger, dude. That was unexpected, out of nowhere greatness. I know a lot of people talked about it as the trade paperback, or not when the trade paperback came out, or by the time it did, everyone was clamoring about the miniseries. It was great, and it's still Energon Universe stuff. Cobra Commander wasn't as good, but it was a good character study and background on Cobra Commander. I like how they set the Joe universe up a bit. I'm about to get around. Now that I'm done with this, I'm going to read Destro. It's sitting in there on my pile with 2 omnibuses and some other indie books I need to read. But yeah, the first one was fantastic. He had Optimus Prime like nailed. Interesting. Yeah. He had great surprises, climaxes in it, like when when Devastator shows up, like Devastator is the combiner everybody wants to see. Everybody is looking to see Devastator, and people love combiners. When you Transformers fans are all in on combiners, shit like that. Seeing Bumblebee get like murked, fucking issue 1, like fucking just a couple pages in, just like bah, 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 done.
It already
like,
set the stakes up. Yeah, the tension, the stakes were already
were there.
elevated. Yeah,
that is what this book does a great job of doing. Stake setting. It does, and we'll get into it, but like the way they handle some things that were so much low key. This I wouldn't say like at first when I first looked at the book, or when I looked at it, but when I heard about it, it's like, oh, this is like Transformers, but if it wasn't for kids, and yeah, like I'm probably not gonna have my 8-year-old read this or anything. It isn't because there's cursing or anything. I mean, people do die in it. It's not graphic. It's not like if my 10-year-old got into this, but like conceptually, it might be a bit above his head. He's not. This is. It isn't that it's adult in content of like that it's too violent or too. It's a bit violent, but like that there's some sort of illicit themes or anything. It's simply just that the layers that there are to this, the storytelling and everything else is not necessarily geared to also be friendly to a young reader. Like my 14-year-old who's a bigger Transformer fan than the rest of my kids, this would be perfect for him. If nothing that dad likes can be fucking cool, but I guarantee you at some point he'll pick one of these up and he'll be like, holy shit, I've been missing out. And I'm like, yeah, dude. I know you like Transformers. I've gotten him the shit from IDW before, and he likes reading them when he, gets in the mood to read something. But it's like, dude, this is like young adult. This is perfect. Like if you got a teenage kid, get him the first one of these, dude. If you have a kid that likes Transformers or a teenager that likes Transformers, let him have this. This is something that can be like, oh shit, I'm reading something like more intense, more brutal, more more shit's going down. But like, and this issue too, you get that fucking 2-page spread of that kind of sudden surprise, like character showing up that you didn't expect, but you kind of expected. But we'll get into it. But yeah, the first issue was great. Like, you had that. You had the G.I. Joe stuff. Duke was great. Dean Cain, All-American Lawman, probably rounds out like my top 3. If I'm going like for all 5 of the stuff I read last year, what else? Did I read Alpha Core last year?
Alpha Core's 2023.
Shit, I don't remember. Was it? I might not have read it until 24, though. I don't remember when I got
read
around to reading it.
Yeah. So
yeah, I go off of when I read things, but like stuff like that.
Like if I had to pick 3, it would be Wolverine Deep Cut issue number 1. I know it's a 4-part miniseries, but I only read issue number 1. That was so good. Oh my god, that was great. Damn, Chris Claremont still got it. Transformers Volume 1, Rebels in Disguise, obviously, Dean Cain, All-American Lawman, and I even threw in Wolverine Revenge number 1. I know a lot of people had some issues with it. It wasn't even the fact that it had like disgusting, weird stuff people said. I really liked it. I thought it was actually very good. So I had a pretty nice 2024 as far as reading books. But Transformers Rebels in Disguise Volume 1, guys, was just a cut above the rest of all of that. And we're going to start it here because I'll just echo off of the thing that you said earlier, which is if you're a Transformer fan and you've been like so mad at the movies, the way that they've been handling a lot of characters, just even recently when we're talking about Transformers, everyone said that the Transformers 1 animated movie was really good. And the reason why I didn't watch it because I did a trailer reaction on the channel. You guys can go watch it. And that trailer looked like just actual shit. But apparently it was not actual shit. Just go off word of mouth.
It was all right.
I actually watched it myself. But people said it was really, really good. And Transformers is always getting treated badly by Paramount as far as like movie-wise. The live action movies are all pretty much just bad outside of like they're kind of like so bad they're good, but but a majority of them are not that. Like the only ones that I even so bad are good, the first one and the third one. The others are just extremely just dog shit. They're just not good at all.
That's the thing though, dude. Even the cartoons, they don't get good treatment. Like the last cartoon they put out, like Earthspark or something.
It was on Netflix. I remember, yeah.
No, it wasn't on Netflix. It was on. It's on Paramount. Paramount
Plus. It had the 3D model design.
Yeah, they sold it over there or something. I know they've got like the Cybertron one. They got some of the other ones, but no, the last one was Earthspark, and it was just bad. It's so dumbed down. It's so Like they're really aiming at a market of kids. Like it might as well have been that Rescue Robots or something, dude. It was so lowbrow. Like
That's
it
why
just
it's so crazy to me that Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spencer have just knocked it out of the
I
park.
think it's because they actually liked. I think it's because they actually cared. I'm if those guys aren't like real fans of these characters, they must have done a lot of fucking background on this. Like this reads like something a true fan would write if they could basically go back and take
in the book. If you, I know you guys don't like the Michael Bay stuff about like transporting Cybertron to the Earth.
Well, that wasn't just that though.
You're crazy. That actually happens in this book, but it's not the typical like way that they do it in the movies. It's actually done in such a good way that it actually has a ramification of how the characters even interact with each other and how the next arc's going to play out as well. So I like that. Dude, like, I don't mind that as a plot storyline. It just depends on if it's just generically there, so it just has to push the plot forward.
No, dude, what that is that's some shit out of season 1 of G1, dude. Like that's what a lot of the first book in this is like this homage to that first season of G1. They're adding they're adding layers to it. They're giving you more characterization than you got out of a cartoon from the 80s because Transformers was a methodology with which to sell toys. That's what it was. So much more lore came out of it, and the Japanese really like ran with it for quite a while afterwards and really like developed a lot of these characters because they had so many episodes and so much time. But what you see here is like Daniel Warren Johnson's just going back and like saying, okay, I'm going to take some of these themes from G1, like the pulling the Cybertron to Earth to kind of harvest Earth's energon and shit. That was a thing that happened in the original series. That was part of it. And early on, it was something that they went to do. They used the space bridge to do it. Wasn't necessarily the same thing here. And that's fine because this is a fresh start to G1, the first one we've seen in quite a while. And it really is him like paying homage to where the characters came from and giving you so much more depth than you got in that cartoon. Like these are things like if you went back and watched it, you could see the unfaithfulness of Starscream to Megatron. You could see this conflict like with Soundwave, and you could understand, and he takes this stuff and he pulls it out and he develops it, and it's like this is like all of this makes so much perfect sense. You're hitting such great character beats here that it's just like
this is one of those comic books where like you start reading it and it might be a little slow initially up front, just maybe in the first 2 pages, but when it starts picking up, it is just constantly a ride from start to finish. For me, this series reminds me of Transformers Armada in a lot of ways too, just minus Megatron not being there. I hope moving forward at some point they'll introduce Optimus Prime and Jetfire linking up together. I hope that'll be so cool. And you know, it's crazy. In Armada, they have the mini. What was the thing in Transformers Armada? The mini cons, where they have like the sabers, the shield. Maybe introduce those things. That'd be really, really cool. But let's start it here. So, just one more reminder for you guys: Transformers: Robots in the Skies Volume 1 covers issues 1 through 6. This one covers issues 7 through 12. The next one is going to cover issues 13 through 18. So let's get into it. So there's actually many angles to cover this from, but I think the best angle to cover it from is talking about that character right there that is on the front page of the cover that he has. I have the open order cover because to me, this symbolizes what the series is. It's kind of like Optimus Prime with the weight of Earth's shoulders on his hands. I feel like this cover symbolized the series better. But that one, looking back at it now after reading it, ages pretty well, honestly. Because initially up front, I was like, I hope it's not going to be some cringy girl boss character. Because obviously that's a girl character because he likes the pink for the girl Autobots. Because RC is pink and she was in the last one. And my slight criticism of Volume 1, the only criticism I really had was that he introduced RC so late in the story. She almost felt like she wasn't even needed. Like, he could have just introduced her here and it would have had the same impact, but that's like my only real criticism of book 1. But the book starts out with the character you see right there. Her name is Alita. She is taking the remnants of a certain character. We'll find out later on who he's about, what his name is. and she is trying to escape the Decepticon onslaught on Cybertron. So you guys will remember from the last book, Cybertron is still actually at war with the Decepticons, Autobots, fighting for control over it. So this character, Alita, is trying to figure out, okay, where do I have to go to find this friend that she's looking for? The Autobots that she has initially helping her, they all end up getting wiped out. They're overwhelmed by the Decepticon forces, actually. Then she comes across, that character that we're going to be talking about later on, and then she discovers he is in this part of Cybertron where he's just all destroyed and messed up, okay? Then you get to the next point in the story where, as people know from the Transformers Robots in Disguise Volume 1, the Earth now knows that the Autobots and Decepticons are there. So you have the Navy forces trying to obviously send help out to the places that need it, where the Decepticons are at. But then the book takes a different turn after that. So as you guys know, in Transformers Robots in Disguise Volume 1, Starscream is the main villain of that first book, right? So in this book, Soundwave, and then later on, Shockwave, they're the two main villains of the book. So Soundwave is like, you know what? I do not like the way you led the Decepticons in Transformers Robots in Disguise Volume 1. He's like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm taking your bitch, and I'm taking over this operation. That's literally what he did. He was like, I hate the way you ran things, and I fucking can't stand you. He ends up just beating his ass, taking off one of his wings, and then kicking him off a ledge. I was like, oh shit. So already from just basically page 1, starts out a little slow. You don't know where things are going yet, places you into the human aspect of it, then gives you where the villains are going. Just awesome setup. Just in the first 5 pages, already setting up where the story's going to go, with mystery, with suspense, with tension, and then the one villain from the last book already getting overthrown. You're like, oh shit, Shockwave's here. Sorry, Soundwave initially up front. My bad. Soundwave first, and you already are looking at it from a point of like, okay, Soundwave is going to be a whole different beast to handle than Starscream actually was. Even when one of the Decepticons mentions Megatron, he's like, he slaps him upside the head. He's like, don't mention that in front of me, you bastard. I'm not gonna lie here. Seeing Starscream get his ass beaten by Soundwave is just, I'm not gonna lie, it was poetic justice. It was so cool. Seeing him get his ass beaten.
This is the thing though, dude. Soundwave, this is the thing about Soundwave. He was always the better right-hand man. He was always the better lieutenant for Megatron. He was the guy that Megatron really, at the end of the day, trusted, because Megatron knew that Starscream wasn't loyal to him at all. Starscream was there. Yeah, Starscream is overpowered. He has all the affiliations with the Seekers, and he brings a lot of power from the Seekers. All the other jets, basically, they follow him. They're with him. They're his brothers, or whatever you want, whatever pieces of the Seeker lore you want to go with. And that's what put him there. It wasn't because Megatron trusted him. It wasn't even that Megatron liked him. That's why, when Megatron always needed shit done, it was Soundwave he went to. Soundwave was his kind of operative for making sure that things got taken care of. And there was always that kind of that dynamic under the, you could tell. If you go back and watch G1, there's this low-key tension, you feel like, in the background between the two of them, because you could see that Megatron would look to Soundwave for shit to get shit done, and Starscream just wasn't trusted in that way. And seeing Soundwave just come out and be like, I'm the better man, you let them fuck up Ravage, and basically tore Skywarp to fucking shit, and all this other shit, and it's like, dude, no, you fucking sucked. You fucked up. You brought in the fucking Constructicons, and you let Optimus just womp their ass. A whole fucking combiner. He gets a small bit of power, and it goes to his head. I remember in a Transformers Armada, when he finally got the little mini-cron to enhance his power of his blasters, he was just going nuts. He was like, I can just take over, I can beat Megatron now, and I can just take over the Decepticons. And Megatron's like, yeah, you need to kind of calm the fuck down. He was inner monologuing his head because he knew he was stronger. And that right there, from after Starscream gets defeated by Soundwave, you actually don't see him anymore in the book.
he's just kind of gone. But right there, the reason why that's good, the way Daniel Warren Johnson did that, is because it already shows you, okay, you're dealing with a different kind of villain now this time around. And just from how the way he defeated Starscream, and now he controls all the Decepticons from what Soundwave just did to him, now the stakes are set. So the kid, so basically, long story short about the boy, because the girl's most of the main character of this arc. The boy that was, I forgot his name, he was shot. He doesn't really have that big of an arc in this book, but he's still kind of vital for the actual human element of it. And later on, I'll go over what he actually did in the book. But for the most part, the girl is actually more of a character that got a lot of progression in this book. So if you guys remember from Transformers Robots in Disguise Volume 1, her dad was killed by Starscream. So obviously, as this goes, the character is hell-bent on revenge. So RC, who came at the end of the last volume, was trying to tell her, hey, you don't want to be consumed by rage and anger. It'll take you over. Usual, typical storyline for how a character, has to interact with one character. One character says, hey, revenge is not the way. The other one's like, I don't believe you. I have to take this guy down. Typical stuff, right? Nothing super crazy about that. So it sets up a nice tone between the two characters. Then later on, she essentially takes on, I forget the girl's name. She takes on the boy's female friend as an apprentice, and then she tells him about this character named Ultra Magnus that, she had lost at some point during the war on Cybertron. Then now they have to deal with this problem here. So the way that they were able to bring back characters in the first book, that energy supply has essentially ran low. Wheeljack is trying to, bring back some of their fallen allies to give them, more, people to help them fight the Decepticons, because as you guys know from the last book, the Decepticons kind of outnumber them still, even with more people joining them at this point now.
Yep.
So after that, we have another plot building up. So Optimus, throughout the book, at various moments, is seeing memories of, I'm pretty sure the boy's name is Scott. He's seeing Scott's Spike. Is it Spike? So at various points in the book, because in the last volume, the first one, Spike's dad died at the end of the book, and Optimus was right there next to him. So maybe that caused something, because he's constantly seeing memories of Spike's dad in his own mind. So right here, he's just, standing, and he's seeing like Spike crying as a baby, but you'd be only able to see that through the eyes of Spike's dad. So something happened in the last book to make him have these visions, which will probably be tackled in the next arc, but they're mostly just hinted at throughout the book right here. So they're having more and more base talk right now. And then after that, this is another reason why the Decepticons are always conflicting. So later on, that U.S. Army fleet I was talking about, so Soundwave is like, we need to take over this because this boat will get us underwater where we have to go. Then one of the captains of the ship is like, hey, don't kill me. I have a family. And the one Decepticon's like, you know what? I'll let you go. You're not really worth my time. Then Soundwave was like, kill them all. He's straight up murks them all.
Yeah.
A guy was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll let you live. Soundwave was like, I'll kill them all. I don't care. That's a villain. Oh my God. He just wiped out everybody just with like flick of his wrist. Easy. Just completely killed a fleet of people right there.
Yep. So that was the thing about Soundwave, is like that was what worked with him so well. And when we see Shockwave here in a little bit, like Soundwave was always calculating. Soundwave was always vicious. Soundwave never had a lot of these drawbacks that Starscream had, and that was what I thought raised the stakes so much for this book here. Just like took it up and said, here, look at all these other stakes that are going on. Look at this conflict. Like this really highlights the perpetual conflict that leadership and the Decepticons always faced. There was always somebody waiting in the wings for that power vacuum of Megatron to leave, and it's just interesting to see it play out without him there. He's hitting on these great character points and these beats that never really ever got fleshed out in G1, but you could see them there. They were there was always this subtle kind of implication for some of these characters, and Daniel Warren Johnson like sees that or remembers that or has the season running on loop in his fucking wherever he writes at, because he's constantly able to take these characters, understand these characters, and pull on these threads that make that add layers and depth to some themes that we've seen before in Transformers and make it so much more, such a more interesting story. It's like it's not like, but in the same sense of like how J.J. Abrams basically created a new hope in The Force Awakens. Like that could have been a good movie if
he had a good concept. Yeah, but
if he wanted to do that, he needed to really pull on some threads of stuff from the old movie. I mean, not necessarily make it member berries, but pull something out, like these threads and themes that maybe in the 70s they didn't cover in the same way, or they didn't add depths and layers to the character that you get. Instead, he just gives us like maybe not a shot for shot remake, but there is no depth to anything that happened in those trilogies. But this is what happens when you've got a competent writer that comes in and says, I'm going to take these threads and these themes from the G1 series, and I'm going to pull these things out. I'm going to raise these stakes up, and I'm going to do it well. I'm not just going to like sit there with my pud in my hand and cash checks from Hasbro for writing a Transformers book. I'm going to actually put some fucking effort into this, and you can see it on every page. With every character he introduces, he gives
them a purpose.
That character.
Yeah.
They have a purpose and understanding. Like one of the characters that we'll see later in here, it's such an interesting and well fleshed out take
of the book we're going to get to is just heartbreaking, gut wrenching, pulls you into different places. So after that, Carly
dude,
playing with this missile launcher and shoots a missile at Optimus accidentally. Then RC defends it, and then later on, this is what gives Carly, because Alita's the other robot we'll talk about later. Carly, you just feel kind of bad for her. She lost her dad, and she's like, what's the point of living anymore? I don't have anything. And you're like, all she has is revenge. And you kind of like understand where she's coming from, just having like Autobots and Decepticons come down, and then her dad ends up dying because of Decepticons. She's hell-bent on revenge, and you have RC there as like a comforting mother-friendly figure there, which is good. So the next part, you have Soundwave and that other Starscream lookalike guy, right? I always forget his name. He's there with Soundwave, and Soundwave unveils that they have a ship there underwater right here. They got a ship there that they are going to be utilizing for something later on. So Soundwave ends up,
such a great reveal,
pulling up the ship right there. And then the next part you have is Jetfire coming out. And Jetfire is locked in that form, which was like, what? He's just locked in this airplane form that he has. So he just sees darkness. So he just has to communicate with Optimus and Wheeljack just by talking. And Optimus is like, you know what? I'm sorry for having you do that. I'll just sit down and comfort you. Another great thing right there. Then later on, Soundwave uncovers the person that he wanted to find in that underwater ship. And that's actually going to be the other main villain of the book, which is going to be so you have initially Astro Rain. He's initially the first one.
Astro Train, he comes out and he's like, dude, this was good seeing him come out. Like the scale of him, they made him so big. He's just coming out and like he just
punks the other guy.
He punks the other guys. Also, another Decepticon. That I like that they make him powerful, and they make him big. He looks huge. He looks jacked, but he's pissed at Megatron too. Like Megatron fucked him over and basically locked him in here. And it's like, I want it. Like he's like out for it. And like, and Soundwave doesn't say shit. He just like realizes that Astro Train wasn't even knocked out. Like bro was just locked up. He's just in there. They don't need to restore him or do anything. And Astro Train, like if you look at him here and you can see like the scale of him, he's a big fucking guy. So they've got him out. He knocks a few people around, and it's like, fuck, dude, that's good. That's intense. Like, you get to see some more characterization there. This is the other thing that Daniel Warren Johnson does that was what was missing from G1, dude. Like some characters got characterization and you got to understand them a bit as a character, and some characters were just background fucking noise, dude. They're
It
just
feels like
there.
the same criticism
Yeah.
that goes with the Bryan
Boy,
Singer
sold.
X-Men movies. You know, all the character development was just on Wolverine, Professor X, and
Yeah.
Magneto. The other ones were just
That's
thrown
all
to the
there was.
wayside.
There was nothing else. Yeah, it was a complete
Yeah.
and utter waste of time. That's why I didn't like the way they did Dark Phoenix, because they quite literally had no there was no time, there was no background on Jean Grey becoming this. There was no time spent with that. There was no development for it. They're just like, hey, we've got an hour and 45. Let's bastardize this story so we can convince X-Men fans to see it or some shit, and it was annoying. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. I think something must have happened in the past, or I'm not sure where Void Rivals takes place, but I know that Jetfire shows up in there, so something maybe happened to him in that series. I don't know.
Yeah. So after that, after Astro Train gets revealed, then we have the actual main villain of the book. You could say they're competing for it with Soundwave and Shockwave. Soundwave appears. Yeah. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Shockwave. So many waves, but freaking waves, man. Good Lord. Yeah. So yes, Shockwave is the other main villain of the book. Another character Michael Bay extremely just fucked over in Transformers Dark of the Moon. If you guys don't know, Shockwave is was a pretty good character. He was greatly depicted here, but in that Transformers Dark of the Moon movie, he was not. So Optimus takes Cliff Jumper and Jazz. I forget his name. Yeah, his name was Jazz or whatever. Yeah, Jazz, Cliff Jumper, and he takes Jetfire, Cliff Jumper, and Jazz with them to go fight the Decepticons off Jetfire's back. Then their plan goes into motion. So essentially, they're trying to pull Cybertron and merge it with the Earth, actually, as it will be later on revealed. Because Earth, as we found out in the Transformers Robots in the Skies Volume 1, Earth is a great place to harvest energon. So that would be greatly beneficial for either the Autobots or Decepticons fighting on Cybertron currently. So Jetfire loses one of his wings, and then they have to immediately evacuate. Then Shockwave pulls up right here. They're like, oh shit, this guy's gonna be a fucking problem. You know, Cliff Jumper's like, oh shit, it's not good. This is a pretty big threat right here. They start battling, obviously, and then Shockwave shoots a missile at Cliff Jumper. And then Ratchet, who's there, defends Cliff Jumper and then ends up getting killed. Yeah. In the first book, they killed off Bumblebee. And in this book, they kill off Ratchet. That's just crazy. Daniel Warren Johnson holds no prisoners. Beloved Autobots are not safe from getting killed in this series. Just saying. So then Optimus is shocked that Ratchet just got killed because he was obviously a beloved. He was actually a great character in the first book. You thought he was going to live here. He ends up dying, and then they get overrun with more Decepticons, and then they obviously, have to retreat because they're getting overwhelmed, and then Optimus has to end up leaving behind. I was pretty sure. He leaves behind Cliff Jumper and the other guy that he came with alongside Ratchet because Shockwave ends up defeating Optimus as well, and then this portal that they open between Cybertron and Earth, the character that you saw earlier on Savage Jat's cover, Alita, comes out. Yeah. So at the same time, all this is happening on Earth, on Cybertron, she saved that one character named Ultra Magnus, and then now ends up saving Optimus by headbutting Shockwave right there. So she's like, hey, you got to leave your friends behind. We got to get out of here. They're going to overwhelm us. And then they leave, actually. So they leave with Alita, Optimus, and Ultra Magnus, and then Shockwave is like, "Hey, let's take some prisoners. Take Cliff Jumper and Jazz." And there is a big reason why you did not want Soundwave or Shockwave taking them for prisoners, because later on it's revealed that they torture Autobots. And the reason why Ultra Magnus looks like that is because there is years of torture between, I think it was either Soundwave or Shockwave. And he's just, later on it's revealed, just completely disgusting things he was doing to that guy.
Oh, dude, Shockwave is always been fucked up. That's pretty well established lore, and I think just about every iteration of Transformers he's shown up with, he's always been kind of this Dr. Mangala, fucking monstrous, just fucking crazy, weirdo whack job that yeah, he tortures people, experiments on them, cuts parts of them off and does just weird shit. And he's the monster, dude. Shockwave is very
He's a piece of
cold and
shit.
calculating,
Terrible guy.
like Soundwave is. Like him and Soundwave are very similar in that sense. But like Shockwave is a little more emotive and definitely takes the fucked upness to the next level, dude. Like,
keep in mind, he also wants to be the leader of the
evil.
Decepticons too. He would overthrow Megatron in a heartbeat if he want to. So
I mean, for all intents and purposes, he is. Without Megatron there, he's the de facto Cybertronian leader. He was left behind to continue the war on Cybertron and to crush the Autobots, etc.
So Spike, earlier on when he was at the hospital, the doctor told him there's a good chance he might not walk again because he got shot very close to his spine. One of the Decepticons that Soundwave got out, the other guy, not Shockwave, goes there, harasses the hospital, takes him. Then another Autobot comes out. His name is Beachcomber. He saves them. But the difference with Beachcomber is that he doesn't actually want to fight. He just doesn't want to be a part of the war at all.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
He's burned out on it.
Actually.
Yeah, well, what's also interesting, like, he's a pacifist, basically, in his experience and basically kind of falling off the ship. So he's been on Earth this whole time. Like the guy's just been there, wandering the Earth by himself, alive. They're staying alive. Like, you see that he has Energon. He's got the little Energon battery pill thing or whatever that he offers, Astro Train. But, he's seen enough of it. Like, in all honesty, I think that, and I'm pretty sure that's I have to go back and read, but I think to some extent that was kind of where Beachcomber was at. Like, Beachcomber wasn't exactly the kind of character that wanted to be a part of the war anymore. Like, the shit had gone on long enough, and like they show you that he like basically ended up landing on the moon. He hung out there when the shit went down. He wasn't on the ship with everyone else. And so he'd been sitting on the moon for a while, and then, he came to Earth. We went to the moon. Basically, he
came to Earth, just
kind of
wandered around, wandering around. Yeah,
just checking out nature. He ran into the Autobots and thought, hey, I can wake them all up. I could, but then the Decepticons are going to get up. The war's going to come to Earth again, and he's just like, nah, nope. It's probably better off.
And you're looking at it like
none of this shit goes down.
Was he wrong?
No, I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, that's, you think about that thing, like, not waking them up. Yeah, I mean, could he have maybe tried to find a way to wake everybody up? But, like, at that point, like, the guy's like a disillusioned soldier. He's basically AWOL. He's like, you know what, I can't see the point in this war anymore, and all of this death and destruction. And, like, if I do nothing, nobody dies, nothing gets killed, nothing gets hurt. If I do something, very likely people are going to get hurt. Animals, things, nature, all this stuff that I've been wandering the Earth for years checking out is all going to get wrecked and destroyed. It's like, okay, do I want to do this? And he just like, no, just going to let it. Better off that it stays buried. And yeah, I mean, to that extent, he's right. No one's getting hurt. No one's, at least not here on Cybertron. The war is raging and everything else, but it's not here destroying this planet at the time. So, I think he's definitely justified in his thoughts there and the actions he took with it. Now, what does being a pacifist do? And it'll be interesting to see where they go with him over time. Like, you can see here, he's got the little Energon canister that he's trying to say, hey, here, you can have enough to like keep yourself going, but I'm not going to give you much more than that. And but yeah, what happens to him over time in the story? Is he able to stay a pacifist? This is the kind of thing, like,
that's what I was thinking. Maybe in volume 3, he just sees what's going on so bad he just gets back into battle with them. That's what I'm thinking.
That's what it's like. Something happens that kind of just changes his mind. He realizes, I'm doing no good in avoiding fighting here. That, or he just gets murked right away because this is Stanley Warren Johnson. I mean, who knows, dude?
So after that, the machine that they are utilizing to transport Energon to Cybertron to help them out with this war, Shockwave is like, you know what? Our feeder is prepared and ready. So there's another side of their plan. Now they actually literally want to bring Cybertron to Earth. So, guys, you probably know what that means. That means everyone's going to die. Everyone's dead. That's what that would mean. So, he essentially, first part of the plan, wants to take all the Energon, give it to Cybertron, then just take out the Earth and put Cybertron where Earth is at. Yeah, Shockwave is insane. That's insane. How much murder that would cause? Billy, everyone's just dead. Yeah, everyone dies. So then later on, Shockwave ends up tormenting, Cliff Jumper and Jazz. But before that, there's, some brewing tension between Alita and RC because Alita feels like RC just gave up on her master because Ultra Magnus, it's revealed that was the master that she was talking about with Carly earlier on in the book, actually. And, Alita also has the same issue with Optimus Prime because she felt like, hey, you started this war with Megatron and you kind of just like left us, So later on, that's also going to get brought into conflict as well. So then you see the second part of Shockwave's plan come to fruition. Now Earth is starting to begin to merge with Earth. That's not good. That is not good. Everyone's going to die. So and then you also have Beachcomber. He's trying to figure out what's going on. Then after that, RC gets into she punches Alita for basically just talking shit to her. And then, Wheeljack and Optimus are talking about, hey, how are we going to get to the Decepticons? We don't even know where they are. And then, Ultra Magnus is looking like he's about to get repaired. Then you also have, RC and Alita talking again because, she apologized. She's like, I don't want any trouble. We're all in the same cause here. Then Wheeljack is able later on to figure out where they are, and they'll set coordinates to go and actually fight the Decepticons. But Alita is very not much happy with how the situation has become because Optimus is here, fighting on Earth, defending these people, but there's people on Cybertron that need help too, So, and keep in mind from her position, guys, she's been almost killed since the beginning part of the story all the way to where she saved him. So you have this conflict going, and she's asking, well, what about Cybertron? Like, what about Cybertron? The fuck? Like, does our planet just mean nothing to you? And you're like, well, if a planet's getting overwhelmed and he has to get everybody out, you just suddenly just admit defeat. You can't go back, So then, they have another talk with each other. And then after that, RC's like, hey, Carly, you need to stay back. Don't need to be worrying about you when we're fighting. And then so there's a part that I have to tell you guys right now because the twist will come later on. So Optimus tells Alita that because she had the coordinates to find the Decepticons where they're at right now. But later on, keep in mind what I just said that there. Another thing is going to actually play out with that. So they figure out a way to get to the Decepticons, and they actually go and battle them in just a moment here. Beachcomber is talking about, sorry, not Beachcomber. The kid Spike is remembering when he first met Optimus back in the first book, actually, when Optimus accidentally crushed that deer. He's talking about like, hey, I just don't want to, not be in the battle at all. And then Optimus Prime, Shockwave is about to torture Cliff Jumper and Jazz more. And then Optimus is like, hey, yeah, we're here. And then RC is about to kill Shockwave. Then Optimus is like, hey, don't do that. She ends up getting attacked by Shockwave, and then he pulls Cliff Jumper to him, obviously as a hostage situation. And then obviously a battle starts. Devastator appears because they're the same three Decepticons from the last book. They actually lived. Now Devastator's back, so obviously that's going to be a problem to deal with. Then Ultra Magnus appears, and you're like, oh, damn, the cavalry's here. Yeah, no. Holy crap. I was not expecting that. He just runs away. He just literally runs. He's like, oh, God.
Oh, yeah, that was what was wild, dude.
Yeah.
That was so wild. Like, here's this 2-page. He's like all fucking jacked and then it's just like, it's so fucking wild. Like, the next page you turn, and he's just like Oh, fucking Shockwave! Brr, I'm out. Like, nope.
Shockwave said, I broke his mind. Yeah. If you guys see what Ultra Magnus looked like at the beginning part of the book, you know that he was tortured to death. Like, you can't really fault the guy for that. If someone like tortured the shit out of you, could you sit in the same courtroom as that person if they were like on trial to go to jail? I don't know, right? So Carly sees the battle rage on from her point of view, and the Decepticons are about to battle the Autobots once again with Shockwave. They're all fighting, and they continue fighting. Then Carly, like in the last book, she doesn't listen. She drives a van straight into Shockwave, hurting him so much that Cliffjumper is out of, Soundwave's hands. And then after that, with Soundwave not holding on to Cliffjumper anymore, the Autobots charge and attack them more. And then they fight Ravager more. Cliffjumper's hand gets stuck, which is just how Cliffjumper is. He doesn't mind his surroundings at all, doesn't just understand where he's at most of the time, because he's also a younger Autobot than them. And then Cliffjumper ends up getting taken once again later on by Shockwave. And then I'm pretty sure after that, they ended up, they hit Devastator. Devastator ends up getting knocked into that portal machine that Shockwave is using to bring Cybertron to Earth. And then after that, Optimus is like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go get Cliffjumper. I'll just do it myself. Love that part. This was my favorite pages right here where Optimus is like, you know what? I'll just do it myself. Goes in there, sees Shockwave with Cliffjumper right here, shoots with that Megatron hand that he got from the last book, shoots straight through him, blowing his arm off, completely blowing off Shockwave's arm, and then just destroying him, beating his ass completely down. Now, he doesn't initially kill him, but the same vision problem that he had the first part of the book, remember how I said earlier in the review, he had a random vision of Spike crying as a baby? Like, there's some weird link between, like, the dad when he sacrificed himself in book 1 interfering with Optimus's mind, where the vision happens again, and he just can't control himself. He just doesn't know what the vision is, and he just basically just kills Shockwave, actually. Just completely blows his head off, actually. That's crazy.
He crushes his head with his fucking hands, dude. It's wild. Like, you just see right here, he just like, bam.
And then Cliffjumper is like, Optimus, hey, yo, buddy, are you good? Optimus is like, I don't know what I done. Because remember how he felt when he killed that deer on accident. And keep in mind, this is an accident because he's not even in control of what's going on with his brain based on something that happened. And then Alita comes into the picture again. So she actually followed him into that portal where the Decepticons were heading into. Because for me to explain this to you guys, okay, so the portal that Shockwave was using to basically bring Cybertron to Earth, there was a part in their ship where they could just go into Cybertron from that portal as well. There was one that was leading Cybertron as a planet to come in, and then there was one where they could just go to Cybertron, obviously, because they needed to go there for more energon and parts and all that bullshit. So the Alita comes out. This is where the big twist of the book comes. She's like, so you're finally back to your old self. You're like, oh shit, wait a minute. She didn't do what Optimus Prime told her to do. Yeah, now you're starting to figure this out. So Optimus is like, hey, come on, Cliffjumper, we got to go. It's time to go home. You know, Cliffjumper's been through a lot this book. But Miss Lita's like, you know what? You will not be leaving. Because remember, earlier in the book, she was very mad that Optimus Prime ended up not sticking around for Cybertron after getting overwhelmed and he left, right? And she's like, Optimus is like, wait, hold on. What the fuck? What the hell is going on? What are you doing? Yeah. Do you know those coordinates that he asked her to set so they could get back home? And so basically you would need one portal to get to the other. She would need to set those coordinates so they could get back, obviously, and go through the portal to get back to where they were at. Yeah, she didn't do that. That's the big twist. She did not she did not do what Optimus Prime said. She said she would do it. She lied because she is so sad and distraught at what has been happening to Cybertron, to the point where now that basically Optimus Prime is back on Cybertron, she wants him to stay. And she basically just risked him not being on Earth anymore. And then later on, right here, Optimus is like, he pulls out his gun He is just at an impasse so far. So if Optimus shoots this right here, that stops the link between what Shockwave was doing, right? And then she's like, hey, if you do that, you can't go back to Cybertron. You'll be back on Earth. Conflicted, Optimus Prime ends up doing it. Now, there's a part here where I actually have to keep pulling the pages back and reading it, because where you see Cliff Jumper right there, you don't see him anymore. You don't even know what happened to Cliff Jumper. He's not shown in the rest of the pages of the book, actually. And she loves Cybertron so much, she just wants Optimus Prime to come back and help her with it. But Optimus Prime now has to be on Earth because the Decepticons are also on Earth now, fighting with humans. So it's not like necessarily she's a villain, but it's more like she doesn't know what she just did there, right? You kind of just fucked over the Autobots that already had nothing without Optimus Prime there. Now they're really going to lose, right? And she's like, hey, I need you. He's like, you know what? I need to be with Earth at this point. So he blows up the portal link, and then that causes basically one part of Cybertron to be there because it stops it because it was halfway almost done getting in closer to the Earth. And then he falls out because the portal link is gone. He would just fall back down to Earth. He's burning. And then Beachcomber ends up saving him, actually. So Beachcomber saves Optimus Prime. But then the last page has another reveal. Oh, shit. Part of Cybertron is just like somewhere
just falling
on
into
Earth
the
now.
ocean. Yeah. Like the hand of those of the fucking Celestials at the end of that one movie nobody watched. But yeah, that was one of the
Cliff Jumper. Alita is back on Cybertron.
Oh, dude, it's
the place
a
that she
great
tried to
fucking
escape
cliffhanger.
From. Just what an absolute amazing cliffhanger.
Oh, dude, a great cliffhanger, and just like the ending, the stuff with Alita. What I love there is you actually got to see, because you would think this, I would always think this as well back, then as like, what is happening on Cybertron, and there are those instances where they'd go back and you'd see that like shit's still going down on Cybertron, and this is the thing in the story too, and it's kind of the thing that I felt that Alita was missing here, is that like the one thing that nobody sees but everybody kind of understands, I think, or maybe everybody understands, maybe they don't, but like the real reason like Optimus can't leave, I mean, you're painting like he's worried that there's a shit ton of powerful Decepticons loose on Earth and somebody has to stop them, but moreover, the leader of the whole fucking thing, the biggest, the baddest fucking one, is on Earth. Megatron is there somewhere. And Optimus knows that. And it's like, I can't just like fucking leave Earth for
and she's
Megatron
conflicted herself. She was just right here.
Yeah.
I don't actually want to do this. She just loves Cybertron. She loves being an Autobot.
Yeah.
And sorry, it wasn't necessarily coordinates, but to be fair, it was also Optimus Prime wanted to plant charges. So instead of these charges would basically give them enough time to get off and go back to Earth and stop Cybertron from merging with the Earth, and then record it back to that portal because they needed that would also lead the way to go. And she didn't do that. That's not good. That is not good. But it's hard to really say she's not a villain. It's hard to say that because Optimus is like, you can't do this. We can't just sacrifice the whole Earth for Cybertron. That's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can't just turn it over to Megatron to like fucking go and do whatever the fuck Megatron's gonna do. I mean, you're just you're leaving him with a rich resource of Energon. Like as an Autobot, you know that's a bad fucking idea. I mean, all these guys get juiced up and come back to fucking Cybertron, or find a way to get the shit to Cybertron. Basically, it's like it's the problem, and Optimus is the guy that needs to fucking stop it. Like,
and it was set up at the beginning part of the book that she would definitely always choose Cybertron based off the situation that she was in. She was always going to choose Cybertron.
Yeah.
So I like the way that he suddenly kind of convinced you that maybe she was going to be on their side. And then, I mean, to be fair, you could probably see the twist coming. She was always going to choose Cybertron based off the situation that she was in compared to Optimus's. That's just how it was. But even though it was kind of predictable, you still liked the way it played out, and the way that it played out for not only just the story going forward, but Cliff Jumper, we don't know where he's at. We don't know what Optimus is going to do now that Cybertron is like halfway coming to the Earth. There's like a piece of it on Earth apparently now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what comes of that, because you're going to have
Soundwave didn't die either.
You're going to have humans fucking with it.
So I don't know what
I'd imagine you're going to see Yeah, well, they're all still there. I mean, even Starscream isn't necessarily dead, and I liked how the Combaticons showed up, but like basically we're almost comic relief. Like they just kept getting like their asses handed to them, or the one of them got cut in half, like they were about to combine and shit was going to really go down, and then nope, that didn't happen at all. So, be interesting to see them. I do love Menasor, or not Menasor, sorry, Bruticus, but. It's, it'll be good to see that in a future book. That might be a reveal for the next round of them. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because that chunk of Cybertron is going to have implications for the G.I. Joe books too. I mean, knowing how Cobra is basically using Megatron and Energon to kind of fuel their war machine, a whole big old chunk of fucking Cybertron shows up.
And it's crazy. Maybe Cliff Jumper is better on Cybertron if he's actually on there, because at least you won't be always kind of worried about him. Like the last part where she's like, you chose them over us. If she ever became a Decepticon, I wouldn't be too surprised about that.
I mean, that could do, who knows? You never know what, in all honesty, it seems like he's got real carte blanche to kind of just fucking do things. It'll be interesting to see what goes on next. I mean, I'm looking forward to the next volume. I'd already pre-ordered it. It's the ending was great, and this is the one thing about this book and the other book, and it's like, can I say that this one's better than the other one? I don't think you can really judge it that way. What you can say is that this is consistent. Daniel Warren Johnson's understanding of the books and his interest in the characters, his interest in the plot and the world development and everything else, he is fully fucking engaged in this book. He is not like, oh, I gotta trade paperbacks worth done. I'm gonna phone in the fucking rest of it. Like, no, he's in it. He's in this, and I'm hoping that we get 4 trades with him in it all the way to the hilt, and that Kirkman is not stupid and is actively finding somebody who can continue to make this level of commitment to these characters in the story. Otherwise, they should just let it end when Johnson's done. Like I don't want somebody
trust someone else. Honestly, writing as good as he does.
That's what I'm saying, is that like Kirkman really needs to be looking for somebody who can maintain this kind of narrative consistency. This is the one thing that comic books always had a problem with when they changed creators. Like when you had a creator that had a definitive arc, not just a definitive arc for a character, but also a definitive arc for themselves. There's
more like a game-changing arc for the characters as a whole.
Oh yeah, I mean,
look at that as like the beacon of like that character.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at like Chuck Dixon's run back in the days in Batman. Like that helped define who he was as a writer. I mean, you look at anything he's done after, even his like actual novels that he writes. There's this air of vigilantism to everything that he works in, because it helped define him and he understood it. And you look at, like, as I often refer to as Joe Kelly's arc on Deadpool was fantastic. But what came after Joe Kelly? Mediocre.
Yeah,
it wasn't good. I mean, and you'll see this even like in the X-Men books, like when they had the big change. Trying to think, it was who took was it Scott Lobdell who was writing X-Men? I got to go back and look. Like, but this would constantly happen. Avengers had the same kind of problem. Like Kurt Busiek wrote a great run on Avengers, and I think after him, you didn't have anybody for a while. And then you got Brian Michael Bendis, which, to be fair, as much of a fucking copycat as he was, it was still a very strong arc for him. And then what came after was inconsistent. The Fantastic Four were plagued with that, with great runs with great writers, and then they'd be handed off to somebody who didn't give a shit. And that's the thing. Narrative consistency is the death of a book. Like, if they don't have somebody who maintains this level of story arc, I'd be just as happy with them ending it at issue 24 and saying, there you go, there's the story. That's it. I don't think that's what Skybound is out there to do. They didn't buy this IP to end it in 24 issues. So I don't think he's going to be stupid enough to screw that up. It does make me wonder as well, what's going to happen in the G.I. Joe universe or the G.I. Joe
because
books
essentially,
as well. Like, where's this all going?
His run would end on the 4th trade at issues 19 through 24. So, because guys, I would just say this: Man, this was one of the few comic books or trade paperbacks that you say I had to go back and read. I was like, wait, I actually missed something there because I just things. And then when you had the reveal that she didn't set the charges that he wanted with the coordinates that he had, you're like, the reveals were, dialogue is good, the pacing is great, the way the characters interacted with different characters this time around from the first book evolved with this one and was just as consistent. And like just like with you, I would say it's not about just looking at the books just between the two. I liked volume 1 better, but this was one of the best reads of the year, for being honest here. This was great, honestly.
It might this or volume 3 of this before year's end, so
yeah,
it's gonna
really quickly. If you're just buying the Transformers series from Image and issue Transformers Volume 3 Combiner Chaos. Lord, it's coming out on May 27th, 2025. So essentially, what are we in July, February, March, April, May? About 4 months out. You know, I remember there was a rumor that Daniel Warren Johnson was getting off the book at about 24. He was the artist for book 1 as well as the writer, and he kept the same style, kept it consistent, you know. So I thought that in the review, Transformers, the comic book series currently right now with Image, don't want to just buy all the single issues to just do like that. Buy both trades right now. Combiner Chaos Volume 3 comes out in May. You have plenty of time to catch up right now with both 2 books, but oh god, it just Daniel Warren Johnson masterclass. I absolutely love it.
Very good stuff.
Any other thing you want to mention before we head out of the review?
No, man. That's it. I want something consistent. If you love Transformers, man, if you've got friends, show it to them. Like, show them what's out there, dude. This is something that people should be comic book companies like Image and hitting something out of the park these days.
He's just was my dad. I'm kidding, guys. It's a joke. So, man, Daniel Warren Johnson knows how to write a comic in the publishing scene, the ones that are doing like crowdfunds. Read this. That has been doing it for a while, knows how to perfect his craft. Man, Daniel Warren Johnson, best comic book series in the market right now. Can't wait for Transformers. Combine returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. The notification bell. That way you guys can get notified whenever I upload a brand new video or I see you guys later. Deuces. Peace. All right. So get to bed. So we'll do the Rippaverse ranking on so I'll just add in a different topic to this. Put in dang, what else would I put? I need a clever title right there. Oh, I'll just put in this. Robots are cool. There you go. That'll get the ladies. But yeah, man, you're gonna be going out of town this week to California, aren't you?
Next week.
Is it next week? Or is it this? Oh shit. Yep. So it's so you're not gonna be here on Tuesday. Okay, got you. So for those of you guys who don't know, we're going to be just doing what we do right now on Sunday, okay? But don't worry, I have Lapsed Comic Fan as well. So you guys will not be without us doing comic book reviews, you know? And people say, oh, there's no replacing. We could